Namaskar. I am grateful to Jugalji for inviting me to this session. I don't know whether it can be an interesting session because the canvas is the contribution of Kashmiri prints in making of institutions. Kashmir has been a land of sublime and virtuosity, where sages, where saints were living in Kashmir, hermits. We have a civilization which is more than 5,000 years back. Abno-Guft, Kalhana, Vizrai Tringni, Khemendra, the critique of society, Lala, the universal poetess of verses of humanity, of brotherhood, in search of the Shiva. And then a new phase of Kashmir. We had, after the phase was a rule where, except the great king Badshah, others were who persecuted the community. And what happened was a slow exodus of people from Kashmir who never want to be converted or to be tamed. It was a slow mobility, moving out from the valley of Kashmir. They are tough times. They first moved to Lahore, then to Delhi. Mostly they resided either in Lucknow, Allahabad, Jaipur, Agra, Bhopal. And what happened? They tried to study the education of the time because they could get jobs in those ruling principalities. They studied Persian, they studied Urdu, they became patron writers, they became advocates, they became part of Bandobast. When the British ruled in 1854, when it came to India, the first thing they did was the imparting of education, English education. It was the dream of Macaulay or the rulers of British rulers. And in that spirit, they made the Calcutta University, or the first university they started with. And then these cities like Lucknow, Allahabad, Agra, all these cities, Punjab for that matter, they started imparting education to students in English. English education became starting because it became the rulers were virtuous. So English knowledge, English language became very important for the class who wanted to aspire to be part of the professions of ruling, dispensation of administration or law, or other spheres of governmental agencies. What happened in Lucknow also, those who were studying Persian and Urdu in maktabs, they started reading what you call it English education. The Canning College was established in Lucknow, where those students would walk for 12, 13 kilometers from their homes to study in that Canning College. In Kashmir, we didn't have the colleges except a school, was Sri Pratap School, which was established by Maharaja Pratap Singh, who was the ruler of Kashmir between 1895 to 1885 to 1925. For 40 years he ruled Kashmir. So he established first school was Sri Pratap School. How it started, where it started, I don't know much, but SP School, I was adjacent to SP College when I was a student there. So that was the first school we had in Kashmir. The rest, those who wanted to study they had to go to either to Lucknow or to Allahabad or to this Lahore or some, because with the advent of Muslim university, they joined Aligarh University. It was also late after 2000, 1912. So these people who were studying those Kashmiri Pandits who had left Kashmir earlier, they thought about this community people, what to do now, because they are coming here, they are cumbersome coming here, they don't have more money, we had poverty also. So they thought that time of making an institution for them. Any person had arrived in India in 1993. She had come to study Vedas and Hindu philosophy. So what happened? She met these Kashmiri young people. So they persuaded her that you help us to make an institution in Kashmir for these people. So the first institution was in Barbar Shah, was a rented accommodation. They started a Hindu school. Then it named Hindu Pratap School in the name of the Maharaja. But the story didn't end there. But they persuaded her, and she also visited Kashmir. She talked to Maharaja Pratap Singh. So they raised donations. All the Kashmiri people residing in Allahabad, Lucknow, Jaipur, who were in good position like as magistrates or advocates who could afford money, that donations the land was given by Maharaja Pratap Singh to them. It was 117 canals of land. Today's present SP College. A picturesque place surrounded by Dal, the beautiful road, the river Veth, backside, and the city onwards. And very well placed. You had the spectral, view of the mountain, the Mahadev, the Zabarwan, and the other side, Sreen, Jahlim, or Veth, as we call them, moving there. So this had a beautiful place the Maharaja offered for this college. And they raised donation. The main building was constructed by Kashmiri Pandits. What is the Pratap Singh building was made by them. So it was not known as Hindu Pratap Singh College. And then Britishers thought, because any person became slightly irritating for Britishers, because they felt she is helping them for freedom and for the rights of freedom. So they wrote to Maharaja, you take over this college. So Maharaja took this college in 1912 by the decree of the government. So it became a government college known as Maharaja Pratap Singh College. And basically the building was by donation by the Kashmiri Pandits. And even first, the Moor was the principal, then Dr. Sharga, who came from Lucknow, was teaching English there. He came here from Canning College. And then the story starts from SP College. Until 1931, it was basically an intermediate college. But with Maulvi Ibrahim, then in 1931, as a principal, it started the higher classes. And then because earlier we started 6 students, then 23 students, then 73 students, and finally the rush started. Both Hindus and Muslim boys start coming, even then girls also started coming, because Vasanta School was established in somewhere in 1923. It was an early institution, which again any person was responsible, and then there were passionate, social reformers. The mother of Shivnarayan Potidar was a pioneer. So this school attracts girls, the community girls, to study in that school. So finally, what happened at SP College, after it became a graduate college, we had girls also coming to this school, in this college, SP College. So SP College history started. But with more students coming, then a committee was established by Maharaja. It was Dr. Zakir Hussain, who was that time principal of Jamia Islamia, and J.D. Sondi, who was the principal of famous this Lahore College, came to establish what to do in. So they created another college for it. 1903 was the creation of Amar Singh College. Amar Singh College was created and they again started from intermediate, and then it became a degree college. The history in terms of evolution of the institution was a very important role played by the community in terms of those who were living outside. They wanted that people around here must study. Number two was in 1943, another institution was started by Kashmiri Prince. Because I want to address this thing to my youngsters. The younger generation asks us what you have done in your lifetime. When you were there, our ancestors have done. They feel because of the exodus, there are so many questions being asked. What has been done? What have been done by this community for them? They did what was possible that time, and they did marvelously. 1943, they established the very important college was Gandhi Memorial College. It was Jalal Kalam. It was what's called Shambhunath Dar. It was Sanukul Madan. Shiv Narayan Khodedar was the main. He was chairman of the committee. Then it was another Dane. It was Sanukul Madan. It was Tara Chand Trisal. It was Ram Chand Pandita, who was the professor at that time, Amar Singh College, teaching English. That was the first committee, major committee of Gandhi College. They established this college. They got 8 or 9 canals of land. Somewhere, what's called after Fateh Kadl, just like the backwards of Dal Lake, there's a shrine was Mughal Raja. And near that, this institution was built again by donations by Kashmiri Prince. This is creation by Kashmiri Prince. Vasanta School. Then in 1941, they created National School, again by Dinanath Raina. And then this National School produced one of stalwart students of here, both Muslims and Kashmiri Prince. I mean, most of them, the Dr. Mr. Nasrullah, P.M. Cole, R.C. Raina, Nasr, and so many, Chippy, Pandit, they're all from National School. They established various schools. And in 1951, they started donation for Vishwa Bharati School. It was Premnath Tusu, very passionate social worker. He would go to house to collect donation and made this institution, which became a college, then it is branches you have found in everywhere in Delhi or somewhere else also. Gandhi College was doing exceptionally good as a college till the exodus. But after exodus, what happened was they had a very good faculty also in terms of imparting education. But exodus was a great challenge for them, and they couldn't cope with it, despite the General Dar purchased about 8 or 9 canals of land somewhere in Bantla. But the story remains because only for Beard, and it continued to sustain this institution. And the community there, in terms of that, because we have this time habit and fashion and this make more of shrines and all that. We didn't concentrate on the institutions which our ancestors started. Not only that, they made Vasanta School, they made Hindu 7 branches of Hindu high school. It was really helped by the pioneer in education was Yananath Nadim, the great poet. He also helped in making those institutions. Devi School had 3 branches, National School. Then we had Rapavavani Shardati. Then we had R.K. Mandir High School. Then we had Ganpatiyar School. There are 17 schools Kashmiri Prince made in the city of Srinagar. And it was not confined only to Kashmiri Prince, the Muslim girls would also study there. That was, in fact, Vishabhati, they would find more safe to join the institution. So Kashmiri Prince have done tremendous contribution in imparting education. And even the teachers, they became named. Shankar Kaul, when the Biscuit School would say, that's the last word. And there we had some great teachers, like the Kashinath Bakaya, like the Ganhari, Samsar Chand Ganhar Cole, the bird watcher. There were so many streams. Amarnath Mattu, then Razdan daughter, Razdan's father, Satla Raza. I mean, there are so many names. They are iconic teachers who have done commendable job in imparting education. So was the SP College or Damascene College. SP College had, I mean, when my time, to which my viewers, I mean, Madanji must be watching, or Kenyala Dar must be watching, we had very good teachers. G.N. Cole, Lord Byron. Then we had Ramnath Cole. We had in science faculties, we had beautiful teachers. Subla was there. Kadri Saab was there. Tikul Saab was there. Shivanji Cole, pioneer as a teacher. I mean, even the Kashmir University edifice was started in SP College. They were Professor Hamdi Kashmiri was a teacher, teaching in SP College. I have been a student that way. I mean, we had brilliant teachers, and teachers who had a vision, who had a passion, who had equanimity, who never believed in terms of he belongs to this sect or that sect. I mean, there are certain things which I say were something great about this institution, SP College. Because initially, when SP College established, there were two canteens, Hindu canteen and Muslim canteen. But afterwards, when Principal Sharga came, he said, no, there's one canteen also. And it became a tradition. We had one canteen. We had in my time, when Saif Saab was principal, we had a very good cricket team. I know that, Khurshid Rabu, Harish Bahari, Jogi, so many, brilliant cricketers. We had people as debaters. We had people who had in cultural activities. There were people in Bazme Adab, in Hindi Sahitya. They had good names. And debating, Pratap magazine was started in SP College in 1912. And tradition went. Even I also became an editor at one time during my student days. So it had a great tradition, this SP College. So was Damascene College for that matter. But in terms of ethos and culture, because the location of, SP College. Number two, it happened like that. It was the oldest college. It created certain conventions and values. And one of the best colleges in northern India. I don't know what is now after 90, what has happened. But prior to that, because every generation must have its own ideas about this college. And in 1951, the other institution was created, was the women's college, because till that time, the girls were studying in SP College. Then this women's college was started, and they had the fortune, they had very good faculty of teachers. Even Nirjaji was speaking last time, one of the finest English teachers, Krishna, I'm listening. And the principal of that college, Mahmudaji, was one of the best administrators and educationists we had. And then in terms of professors also, were brilliant. We had Agashdev, known for his oration and depth of philosophy. He had worked at Jamia. So in the same way, we had some great teachers who had made name. I remember, and there was something splendid about those professors. Because that time it was more of quality. I don't demean this time, because we have more than 250 colleges now, where there were 4 or 5 colleges in my life, or 7 colleges at that time I was studying. So they had the professors and the principal, they were really iconic. I was told once, Professor Sadhu was the principal of Baramal College. Sadiq Saab was the prime minister there, and then it changed as chief minister. He visited Baramal, he told that I would like to have a visit to Baramal College also. So the physical director, he was, as usual, he would always study a book and be busy with that book also. And because those times were not the worst times when the students will be unrest or something more. So he was told that the chief minister of office has come to call him. Well, he told his secretary, so tell people to make a good kahwa and some biscuits and all this. Because it wasn't a scheduled visit of the minister, chief minister. It was just he wanted to just have want to see the college. Then he came and sought permission of the principal should I come enter? Yes, why you are the chief minister? It was not like that bandobast that coming down with garlands, flowers, and all that. I mean, that had given the sanctity of these institutions. If Farooqullah was slapped by his teacher, Mr. Bakaya, in school, he told his father that he slapped him. Why didn't you get only one slap? You should have got two slaps. And once, I remember I was in Birma College, he came with some Subharish to the principal. Mr. Kuche was the principal, J. Kuche, a mathematician, very gentleman. So there were some of my colleagues, they left. I was on. He told me, you sit here, you're like my son. So he said, Salam alaikum, bheka to aise kath ke. Kath mutala. Mr. Aise ase bese. Kath ka. Unas nahi spawni bachne to kariyo kath. Unas mission na fala to mission hajri kam. Ke no attendance now they probably nahi hai. Attendance uski kam hui thi to usko debarred for sitting for examination. तो उसने कहा तो ठीक है मैं तो ये प्रोफेसर पढ़ाते हैं उनका नाम लिया उसने जब लिया कहा नहीं उसको तो नहीं कह सकते उसको तो सलाम वालेकुम मद्रास so that he never intervened in the working of the institution or that gives a sanctity to it. And what happened afterwards, what is happening around, how things are moving around. But I mean that institutions had healthy conventions which were built basically by the community teachers. Mostly that time the professors were Kashmiri friends. And then the Muslim professors they also held those conventions that time. I mean, because Jain is same, they are as good bright as we are, and they may be brighter at times, and they must be. So my point is, certain healthy conventions created in the institutions, set by the schools or the colleges and all that. Well, all those who had left Kashmir, who had love for Kashmir, because they had always this thing that something should be done, because it was haunting, like it's haunting us this time. It was haunting with them that we must contribute something for Kashmir. That was their donation making ST college, because they had left Kashmir, that their ancestors, when they had seen persecution, as we have seen Exodus, Jabbar Jand, Haras Kurban. I mean, that Jabbar Khan who said you make Shivratri, you perform Shivratri in the month of July, and it snowed there. This was the persecution their ancestors met, that had left Kashmir to different places. They worked hard. I mean, they in a complex city, in a complex place, something has made them working hard, and that emerged, a class emerged, whether it was Tej Bahadur Safru, it was Kathjus. Even Jawaharlal Nehru father met. His father must have worked very hard. I remember in one of the convocation address, it was addressed by P.N. Huxter. The citation, the introduction, didn't mention Huxter to be Kashmiri. He simply said a great intellectual, administrator, and all what he has done. Known as planning commission's chairman and secretary to the prime minister, and all those which he deserved to be, without mentioning he's a Kashmiri. But when he stood up to speak, he said, "I'm the prodigal son of Kashmir," which the citation or my introduction has been missed. I don't know, wittingly or unwittingly. I remember I was there in that convocation. One of the finest lectures I've heard of P.N. Huxley. So my point is, there is, as we want to return to Kashmir, our roots are there, our symbols are there, our temples are there. But I must tell my younger generation that generation worked very hard for these institutions. When they have established these 17 institutions in 40s of the century or early 50s, they must have worked hard. And to impart education to boys and girls of the community, then creating the college. That time creating college was a very important, difficult task. They had no, help of the government. From 1973, April, grant was given to the government, to these aided schools after establishment of Islamabad College. They took this decision. The rest, it was on donation. Gandhi College was on donation. And there were some great professors who were teaching. Professor Madan was there. Professor Durrani was there, who was the head of brilliant academic record. By choice, they were teaching there. And they had not the salaries till, as the government said it, till 73. After this grant in aid, they got these salaries as per the government scales. And even there's a shabby treatment even to this community of teachers who did a commendable job in imparting education. When Exodus took place, they stopped the aid to them, made them to be on their survival on the roads. They were forgotten. They became initially a professor like Nilkant Lala became a victim to this bullet, because this Kashmir cannot ignore the contribution of the Kashmiri parents in teaching, whether it's schools or the colleges or the university. Also, initially, it was for some time in SP College when established by Kashmir University was established. And most of the staff was from SP College, and they were mostly Kashmiri professors, and then my Muslim professors, intelligent ones and bright ones, joined there. But in the making of a university, they worked very hard. They tried to make the university a very important university, because they were the dream of Annie Besant, that great lady. She said Kashmir should become the Kashi of India. It was only a Shabda of India before, in time of Abhinagupta and Kalhana wrote. What happened afterwards is a different story. So, but we tried the community to give a quality education to the students of this college. And the community made these institutions, and really good institutions in Kashmir. They made one institution in Unnao also. Even St. Joseph's College in Baramulla also was manned by Kashmiri teachers. That's the story for them. We have done exceptionally good job. But what could have been done after the Exodus, we could have made a university or an institution or anything. We have failed it, because without telling that what ancestors did, we as a community has failed. I mean, we can't blame our ancestors. They did their job, good job, commendable job in those times. You can understand making a college in 1943. You can understand making a school in 1920, 1912, 1925, 1941. All these schools were manned by Kashmiri parents. The great teacher, J.N. Kachu, Patwari, I mean, you name them. And then the college here, after the Ms. Mohammed, we had a staff, which was Mrs. Nisri, Leja Matu. We had brilliant in terms of other teachers who did a commendable job. Like we had Mrs. Paribu. We had in other spheres like there in Women's College who did commendable. Nusrat Ndrabi, she died only some days back. In education, we had Aishri Matu. And then the great veteran professor was Aga Shafili. We can't ignore his role and contribution to the education, making the faculty education vibrant. He had the acrobatics of politics, and he didn't get a chance to become vice chancellor. He deserved to be a vice chancellor. He had the material of a vice chancellor, more than a vice chancellor. Very steady. So there were teachers which were he would also say that I have been taught by those Kashmiri teachers like Mr. Bakaya or Chudaji Pol or the great famous school whose motto was, in all things be men, by Tandil Bisku. It's a great, Disco did a commendable job in the service to the community of Kashmiris. We can't ignore it. I mean, such students which became some of the iconic students of the Kashmir and subcontinent in India for that matter, doing one fine job. I rate SP College one of the fine. I mean, in my as a student, I studied in schools and college and Kashmir University, then Jawaharlal Nehru. I would say the best years of my life, learning and development of personality was SP College. I hope those who are members will definitely endorse my view. It was making of a personality. Brilliant teachers, assertive teachers. I told last in one of my lectures, when Jane Cole was not made Lord Byron was not made the principal in Teachers' Day, he told Sadiq Saab, he had the courage and conviction to say that you require the King Kongs and Dara Singhs with principals, but I have a lame person who has obtained was a gold medalist for Banaras University, and Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan requested him to join faculty of English. But love for the land, he made him to land in Kashmir and became a professor. I was fortunate to be a student, but I'm not capable of being a principal of the college. So there's college about 3-4 colleges. But finally, there were Kadardan also. He was made as the first head of department of Jammu University. And there also we had Dr. Professor J.N. Bhan, who had studied in London School of Economics, brilliant teacher, brilliant economist, thinker. I mean, those times the teachers were not administrators. They had something to offer in terms of their scholarship. I remember had been to university, Siddharth Panikar was the vice chancellor. I wanted to meet him as a student. Somebody told me he's there. I saw him in the veranda. He was with a book, reading the book. The vice chancellor was not in his room. So those are times. So in terms of contribution of having healthy conventions and all that, Kashmiri Prince, and then those who Kashmiri Muslims followed it. What happened is now an ugly story to narrate what is there, but still, the erudition and scholarship in the universities has not gone. In my second stint, when I was a consultant at Kashmir University for 4.5 years, I found hard-working students and doing exceptionally well in terms of science, in terms of research, and they are doing exceptionally well. They're not doing because that is there. So far, I don't know our colleges. I saw in the university. I don't know what is happening in colleges around. There are some good departments of Kashmir University, known on the national plan, like geophysics and microbiology, were doing exceptionally well. So my point is not that wisdom is only with us. Wisdom continues. We don't have monopoly of wisdom. But I feel in terms of contribution to Kashmir, imparting education, building institutions, that has been the great role of Kashmir. We didn't make those times temples. We have not made any temple in our, it is only now after 90 we find temple making, shrine making. Institutions we have not been able to make. That is my remorse also, which my ancestor have been able to do. They have not been able to do. One of my cousins, my father, who was the principal of the Gandhi College, Mr. Gopinath Muttu, I told him, I would call him Baisa. He had done some 78 MAs in Lahore. I told him, how did you do? No, I would go for tuition evening and keep on reading and having MA degrees everywhere. So this was how Kashmir Prince, who had gone outside for study, would I do like that? So after so many MAs, he again came back to Kashmir, have a bath in backwaters of Dal Lake, and then go to the college, never knowing that what will happen tomorrow to Kashmir, that he will not be there. He had died, poor fellow. The great man died long back, before the Exodus. But I say the stories like that. So in terms of institution building, we have a contribution has been phenomenal, has been monumental. I am not one of those who say we have not done nothing for Kashmir, Kashmiri society. We had an exceptionally great for them. I'm a product of that. My viewers are product of that very colleges and universities. Those who are watching from other parts of the globe, they are parts of their products of SK College or Kashmiri University. They're all, I mean, they cannot deny they are products of Visco School or Hindu School or National School or Davis School. They're all products of that. That education, that chiseled our personality, that made us as what we are today. So that's our education. I would not find copy and paste in Kashmir. There was a certain tradition of that. One day when results took place, I was entrusted by the government to see watch the examinations. So I went there. In one of the centers, I only saw, I should not make it like that, I saw students with those small parchas, which I could never imagine my career in the colleges or university. I didn't see. Maybe there were one or two cases they'll be caught here, and it was I was really taken back, and I shared it despite one. And those who were there as invigilated, they later became principals of colleges because there are so many colleges were made. They had 89 government colleges, and they had no other option but to appoint them principals. So the whole connive, I mean, I'm just, but they belong to my fraternity. I was shocked. I didn't see it in my own when I was as a professor in colleges or in the university. It's a different story, I found. So maybe so we had created healthy conventions, teaching, sport, and research also, getting exceptionally well. And even this time also, but one thing is there, after Exodus, we have not given goodbye to higher education in terms of that. Higher education in terms of joining universities, going for research. I hardly, when I move around, because what has happened, because Kashmiri Prince have one important personality trait, the survival trait, because they see where they can earn bread and butter. So after 90s, it was computers, information technology and all that. So they started and they get doing well. But what has been the ignored motive of education has been higher education. You don't find our students in universities, very few are students in university. You go to JNU or their university or our university. So you don't find. So even faculties, you have less of people. No, discipline in terms of numbers, we don't have. When we came from Kashmir, we had about 400 college teachers and about 158 university professors. We had about 30, 40 RAC professors of Kashmir. If you today evaluate, I don't find it can be more than 20, 25 in the whole of Kashmir, maximum. 400 teachers, professors, colleges, then school lecturers, then teachers. It's a long list. Because when we came, we had about 21,000 employees. It might be a digression here. When we clamored for this, I was part of employees forum to the Prime Minister at that time. We wanted to get jobs in lieu of the number we had that time, 21,000 barring central government employees and banks. That package was there, but package we didn't discuss. Package was discussed by our political leaders. Community leaders, they lacked imagination. They didn't know how to make this apparatus. That is how we are suffering our younger generation who are trapped in the Prime Minister's package. That was only in search we wanted our due. So many teachers, so many lecturers, so many professors, so many all from different disciplines of administration. Today they are trapped over that. So how can that teacher who goes there, he becomes the a victim of bullet. Can he be a teacher there? Can he live as a teacher? Can he sustain as a teacher? Can he be a good teacher? It's a remorseful story, it's a sad story. And mostly they have gone to schools. Because I know they have most of them have been college students. They are going as teachers. If teachers have this fate in Kashmir, those who now have become ambassadors, I don't know, government means the symbolic return by these ambassadors who become part of the sport of the terrorists. How can we deal? We lived as teachers because we were respected in class. We had dignity. Then we had passion to teach. When your dignity is not there, when your passion is there, because that in Kashmir, by and large, it was the teacher or professor was respected. The iconic figure he will become. When I joined, despite by accident I became a teacher, by temperament I was not. But by certain things I admired some of my professors in my SU college. Some of my professors. I admired J.N. Cole, I admired Nazir Ahmed Khan. Nazir Ahmed Khan I admired in the sense because they had to make editor of Pratap magazine is very interesting. That makes a good teacher. Khurshid Rabu and I, because they invited essays from students. We both got 115 marks out of 150, both Rabu and I. So he is 115, then his head of department then time was J.N. Cole. J.N. Cole was Lord Byron, a great English teacher. So he told me, how can it be like that? As we have waved gold, you again review it. Kindly review this paper again. So he again reviewed the paper. The Khan came again. Professor Khan, I had all this. He said, no, he didn't. I can't even add or subtract half a mark. It became an important issue for the principal of the college. So he told them, you do one thing. I have a formula for both Khurshid Rabu and I was known as Muttu then, because officially I write Zutshi, but parental name is Muttu, basically belong to Muttu family. Because Muttu and Zutshi, Muttu and Drabu will be both editors of the something interesting happened. Now, what I learned from that professor, the learned was that he didn't see in two different eyes. A Muslim student is a Kashmiri student. He didn't see. And that carried a conviction in me, a commitment in me. I was in 2010, I remember, or 9, I remember, I had to represent Kashmir University because I had gone different field after retirement to be there on extension education. I had to represent Kashmir University in one of the discussions at University Grants Commission. The big team was there. I was with me were directors, both the distance and extension and all that. So I was told to present this case of the university. Now, so I presented. They had a consultant by name of Zutshi, that UGC. They're big, I mean, the team was of different varied, from theater, from media, from education. Because for extension education, they have a team which is not purely academic. So I spoke for about half an hour or 1 hour. Then so over, the lady who was presiding that, she was the vice chancellor of Women's University, Bombay. I remember. Then it's over a couple. He spoke very passionately about Kashmir. The other gentleman was a Kashmiri. He said, "Toshu Kashmir Katkara." क्या दीजिए Toshu Itir Wadankin, are you living here? Or, yes, I was living in Kashmir, but after Exodus, I'm here. But for some time I have come here and there comes some. The way you spoke passionately, I didn't feel you are an exile. You have been quoted. Yes, you are right. But when I'm, as a teacher, committed to a cause, I have to be committed to a cause in terms of the teaching. And this university has been my alma mater. I have studied this university. I owe something to this university. These are conviction and commitment. This is something part of personality of a human being. That's a trait we learn it. What happened to Kashmir, the commitment has gone. The gratitude is gone. What may sometimes gratitude I find in this, what is happening around, what is happening, you, the quarrels, disdain, hate, and even my own, what they are doing. So my point is that basically, the spirit of conviction and commitment is basically of a decent, good, value-based, virtuous education. That was my land. That land has lost that. That land has lost and reserved those gun-wielding people. That has made me to be here crying in wilderness. And then my younger generation says, what you have done? What can we do now? You all have to do make institutions if you want. Shrines are all right. Replicas cannot be originals. My original is Sharika. My original is Khirbani. My original is Zutshi. They're my originals. You go to Khirbani and you can see the solitude, the divinity, the influence you find, enter diplomacy. There's something there. Vivekananda came and he told Ramakrishna Paramahansa, I don't find this goddess, when you go to Kashmir. While going to Kashmir, he told his followers, don't I go alone to this Khirbani. He meditated for some time and he had a darshan. So this is not mystery, this is history, recent history. That Swami Vivekananda, who was a bold specimen of Hinduism, or the rationality of Hinduism, the ethos of Hinduism. He said, I have seen darshanam there. So my origins are there. How to go there? How this land is available to me? These symbolic, adventures and misadventures as the government does, it is not going to help us, and nor it will help our community, because I have seen my students this time here moving around. They have been teachers there, mostly teachers. They are scared, they are afraid. So let us hope SP College will remain SP College unless we have the same ethos, ethos we found. Even that, there were sometimes irritants. So in 65 as students there were anti-national slogans. But we were there with boys together. They made me president to counter it. But there was some resistance also. There was some sanity also. Nobody killed us. There was a skirmish at that time. But this ethos makes an institution. If there's you have a choked atmosphere, this is not SP College. You have choked atmosphere, that great building of Merchant College, on which the very stairs have a Gothic architecture, and the finest buildings we have. It can't be that Merchant College, where the people would come for shooting. They were, the people from Italy, I would say, on the faculty at that time, Merchant College, they come there to shoot certain ads. For 7 days they had shooting for that. Those years. They came from Italy, which was known to be the home of architecture. Can this institution be there? How the shabby treatment the government has done to the teachers, those who made this Kashmir to the hub of education. But the shabby treatment. They didn't see to their survival. They didn't see their dignity. The judge had to say in the High Court. The High Court Chief Justice said, You are making a difference between Gandhi and a Maulana. Maulana, I saw in terms of volume because that his judge showed something like that. So, because when Islamic College was created, and I tell you, Islamic College initially was manned by Kashmiri Pandits. The faculty was Kashmiri Pandits. The principal was Mr. Tusu, was a very hard-working principal, who was the first principal of the Islamic. They worked hard, passion, with commitment. They made this institution, which is supposed very good institution of Srinagar state. And then the college comes under the same grant and rules. That was, they were given the full salary, full grants, but not this grant, these other institutions. And the chief justice was amazed. What is they are doing? And despite judgments and all that, we had to go to Supreme Court because as if we are tigers and we kill them because they are Kashmiri friends. And they forgot the contribution we made as teachers. Today, this generation who have been taught by Kashmiri friends, those remember those teachers. The motto of SP College, Athra Tendon, go higher and higher. In all things we win. This proves title from darkness to light of Kashmir University. Rana of Rama Rahi, from Abhinav Gupta to Jawaharlal Nehru. Because Nehru has become a person which we don't like now. But whatever may be, he is our ancestor. Good or bad, he belongs to us. His generation also, those whose ancestors must have left Kashmir under hard times and how they must have struggled. Once I was told by a Kashmiri Pandit, who was an elderly person. He met me somewhere, then he used to come here. He was not able to speak Kashmiri because his old generations had left Kashmir. His name was Tapeshwar Zutshi, T.P. Zutshi. He is the man who raised the banner of Berlin Wall. I mean, it should be, it must be dismantled. That time, the foreign policy of India, that was Prime Minister, was against dismantling. The gentleman who had done study in Harvard and by ships they had gone, he was very old. He must be, I don't know whether he's alive. He must alive. He must be in late 90s. He was like my father in terms of age. More than that, I could see. But he was such a fine gentleman who was treated very well. He said one thing. He would come, when I would sit in the coffee home in Delhi, he would sit there. In Safra House, he would be there. We came Jammu, he was there. I told him once, why you come? My roots are in Kashmir. You are in this miserable plight. At least I can't do anything. I have abject poverty because I'm not earning anything. I'm Ghanaian. But still I can share with you. You could only say one word, was Saman. When he Saman, because that was the only word he knew. But one thing about he would always tell, that this committee was created on institutions. I wish they could have created an institution. But he was again, despite institution, he told me, we had made an institution in Lucknow of a women's college. It worked very hard. But at time again, because it was an area which was a Muslim-dominated area, they wanted to give us, we want to change the name, which I resisted. Then they had to go, Sheila Cole was the education minister. Because of an intervention, that college was saved. Even outside also, that time, Kashmir Pandit had made 3 colleges. One was in Delhi, in the old Delhi. Second was in Lucknow. The women's college is still there. I don't know about old Delhi college, which is does it continue to be there? They had made there also college. They had made a school in Lahore also. These Kashmir Pandits had made a school in Lahore also. That was something with the name I have forgotten. They had made school there also. So institution building has been a forte of this community. But it has changed now. I don't know why. And then they ask, we have not done anything else. And you are, I mean, I don't say, I also, we had a saint who was from Vilagam, was a great saint. I bow in his memory. He was living mostly in Tilumala. His name was Anandji. When he died in Kashmir, but we also made his what's called in terms of a shrine. But it was in an area which was that time mostly lived by these our camp people, Mishriwala. When Jagdish was made, so entire Mishriwala was taken to Jagdi. So that shrine is without devotees now. And we have I mean, contributed, invested in that shrine, more than 50, 60 lakhs. But this time it is in state of abandonment. I went some time back towards the Bantalab area. I saw a very good temple, shrine. We're all here or retirees, or we are waiting for a flight to hell or heaven, I don't know. And children are away. Shrines we have made, big halls. I don't know if they will be there. The devotees will remain there because shrines, I don't know. So we have done like this. So many units in Jammu, you'll find plenty of shrines. The concentration of an institutional building was not there. And that's why I asked these, when my youngsters tell me, there's a good that Jugalji invited me to speak. And from SP College, I rose spoke about the Kashmir Times, its contribution. We have failed as a community in making institutions. At least one institution, not in one we had, except Vishabadi, they have their own institution. But main type of an institution which would attract faculty, like a institution which can be tomorrow's rated as one of the best institutions in India. That we have not done. That has not been done. We exceptionally feel that way. But as teaching also now, we don't find Kashmiri teachers. It's the last crop you find, the last crop of vice chancellors also. You can't find teachers. You'll not find them. The real. So this lecture of mine is a tribute to the great teachers who made what we are. And I was telling you that this contribution of this community cannot be minimized in terms of the and not only that, it was an overall contribution, whether it was music, it was theater, it was art, it was literature, it was everything. I mean, we did community, we had people around, great artists, this Kashmir produced, right? Santosh, Parmu Saab, then Munshi, then literary giants who write, have been brilliant in terms of contribution, whether it has been Weber, it has been Erickson Cole, it has been Arnold Shant, it has been, they have names and names, right? And commendable job. They've been part of this, they've been renaissance of Kashmir. Literature, culture has been in these 50s and 60s. Nadim has been the epitome of that. We cannot deny Nadim Saab's contribution. I had the fortune of being my teacher also, part-time teacher in high school. So that has been the great contribution we had to that we cannot forget, and the type of indelible impact on the minds of the people around of a generation is still there. So I hope the younger generation who will listen to me will have no regrets in terms of our contribution to not my contribution, to the community of ancestors in 40s or early 50s in making of institutions. And those Kashmiris who are living in Allahabad, Lucknow, Agra, Bhopal, they have done. I thank all the viewers for watching me, all my friends, and dear Jugalji for such a great initiative has made me to invite me to speak on this. I am not an education nor a teacher of eminence. I have been just an activist, but I love to be taught by great teachers. नमस्कार. हुई मुद्दत की गालिब मार गया पार याद आता है गालिब के हुई मुद्दत की गालिब हर बार पर हुई मुद्दत की I can read I love this couplet. हुई मुद्दत की गालिब मर गया पर याद आता है वो हर एक बात पर कहना कि यूं होता है तो क्या होता है. So these are the last words, a couplet of Ghalib, the great poet of India, the greatest poet in terms of his poetry of love and romance. I thank you all. God bless you all. Namaskar. Stay blessed. Thank you.